Hi guys, so today's video, today's theme is about solving problems. As you know, moved to a much smaller space and we've got lots and lots of things that we used to do that we can't really do. They don't work in this space and they're due to all sorts of reasons, one of which is because we had space to just grow too much so that we didn't have to worry about keeping things safe from pests. We had space to have really big compost piles that we could just let sprawl. We don't have that space, we don't have that ability to do things anymore. We're also unable to raise our own livestock, our large animals that we used to have for both protein and milk. So today we're going to have a look at what we're doing to solve some of those problems and putting in systems and practices that work for how we're living now in this space. And the first thing I want to talk about is this. This is going to be my vermicomposting system. This is a worm bag from the Urban Worm. Now, I was turned on to this by one of you guys, Sarah Perfect, who is a subscriber. Thank you, Sarah. She sent me an email with a link in it to someone talking about this system. It's actually thanks to more than just Sarah, because it's also been a birthday present from my patrons. Some of the patrons on the Patrons Only Facebook group had a whip round and got me a birthday gift. And basically, this is what it bought. This worm bag. So today we're going to be setting this up. Now obviously I don't have any experience with this. It's just arrived in the mail yesterday. Been to the hardware store this morning and got everything I need because it doesn't come with a frame. You can buy them with a frame, but they're more expensive. So we're going to build our own frame and then hopefully we're going to be harvesting some worms from under here where I've been, fingers crossed, if all goes well, I've been farming them. So this is basically just some cardboard with a bit of sand on top that I've kept wet for about a week. And hopefully under here, we've created the perfect environment for the right type of worms, because that's quite critical, the red worms that live on the top surface. So hopefully when we've got our worm bin set up, we can peel this cardboard back and underneath we'll be able to find our worms. Fingers crossed, I won't have to buy any. We'll have to wait and see. But if you're interested in seeing the bag being spoken about by someone who's had it for much, much longer, I will link to the video that Sarah sent me in the description. There it is, one frame. It's not the sturdiest. I might have to add a couple of diagonal braces, but I've followed the instructions. I've just used slightly smaller timber. They recommended using 4x2 or 2x4, depending on your preference. But I just thought that was a bit of overkill, and with lumber prices being what they are at the moment, I just went for 2x1, which I think is going to be adequate in terms of being able to support the weight. I might just need to put some, as I said, diagonal braces, but the instructions are really easy to follow, so there's that. Right, that's the first bit done. So this is where we'll be taking our worm castings from, our vermicompost, when it's ready to get that drawstring done up. We'll pop this bit on the bottom. God, very, very excited. The next job is we need to add some bedding, and they say to fill it up to about 1/5, so it's going to be a fair amount. So we'll get some bedding in there now, and we're just using a combination of straw, cardboard and compost basically, and that's going to make up our bedding for our worms. And we're actually using compost from our garden bed, not stuff that's been hermetically sealed in bags. This has been open to the elements for several weeks now, so it's got lots of microbes and good bacteria and all the stuff that we want in it. I'm just tearing up the cardboard into little pieces. I almost forgot I had all this lovely wood chip, which is going to work really well for the bedding as well, I think. So the next step is to take a peek under here and see if we've got any worms. This is the moment of truth, everyone. You're going to be finding out at the same time as me whether this has worked. So if you haven't seen my last video, this is basically an environment that I've built to encourage the worms up to the surface, just underneath this cardboard. What I've done, I've created the perfect environment for the red wiggler type worms. Basically, the type of worms you want in your compost are the type of worms that work up and work at the top of the soil. They're going to break down the things at the top of the soil. So putting down a piece of cardboard on some soil, in theory, and I've kept it nice and wet for a week or two, I can't remember, just over a week. In theory, underneath here should be our red wiggler worms. Let's have a look. Nothing on the outside, but there's quite a lot of grass still. Oh, there's our first one. And our second one. There's our first two earthworms. In they go. Hey, there's another one. There's another one. Oh, loads. Yeah, there's loads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In they go. This worked really well. Loads more. Oh yeah. Struck a rich vein of worms here. So I'd say that's been a success. Got about 30 earthworms and a slug for the chickens. Lucky girls. You can see them finding their way underneath the bedding. So is that enough earthworms? Well, yes and no. I'll just do this up. So that's not enough earthworms to be doing the amount of recycling we need, but they will reproduce on their own. And there's nothing stopping me harvesting again. So I will now we've got our worm bin up, I will come out and I will harvest from underneath that cardboard every day and throw more and more worms in there until we're up to the numbers that I think we need. I'm really, really happy to be up and running. I'm happy that the cardboard worked. It wasn't like, if you want 100 worms, it's going to take you some time and effort to get them this way. So maybe for you, it's better to buy them, but they're quite expensive. And I like to source things myself if I can. So yeah, really happy with that. Right, next thing I've got to do is pack up all my kit and then a few more things. So I've mentioned that we're doing things slightly differently here and we're operating in a different space. The dogs don't have a huge garden to run around in, and I keep finding them on the vegetable bed. So we're going to put just a little bit of fencing, a little bit of really, really short picket fencing around the edge of this bed. So that's another way we're going to solve a problem. Earlier on this week, I was lucky enough to be given or have the opportunity to take down a huge piece of fruit netting, basically a huge netted area on a bit of abandoned ground. In fact, I'll hand you over to me on Monday. He'll explain it better. So as I mentioned in my last video, my father-in-law gave me access to what I thought was a couple of old polytunnels, but they weren't polytunnels at all. They were big, long fruit cages. And it's hot today. And I've just been down here clearing them. They're all gone. Well, the one I'm taking, that one's more of a DIY job. It's just bits of wood tied together. I don't need that. But I've got this one all taken apart. I'm loading it into the car. Yeah, I'm really quite pleased with myself. Oh, it's been a lot of work, and it's a forager's dream down here as well. There's all sorts of thistles, horseradish, loads of wild carrot down there. There's obviously, this is the remnants of the fruit cage. There's gooseberries and red currants in here. So I might grab a few of the ripe fruit while I'm here, because it's only going to be basically taken over with a digger. A digger's going to come and pull all this flat. So see how much time I've got when I've loaded up. Job done, first job of the week. Off to work after this. I'm going to be tired tonight. So all of that is now tucked behind that shed there. And the plan is, when we've had this fencing done, is we're going to basically use it down this side of the garden, and that's where we're going to keep all of our fruit bushes, is where our currants and our gooseberries and our blueberries and our raspberries will go. But it's also going to incorporate another vegetable bed at the top there, which will all be enclosed, which means we'll have more enclosed space than outside space. So it means that we can use this area just to grow things that we're not seeing the pest damage on. Don't know what that is yet. We'll need to go through a whole growing season to know, but things like alliums, they're going to be fine in this bed, obviously. And then at the front, we'll have a little herb garden. So things are really taking shape. We know where we're going. Another thing I did this week is, in the evening, I managed to find time to go to the coast, and I did a bit of fishing. And I caught some mackerel, so I had mackerel for dinner, and we've got more in the freezer, you know, because we're not raising meat here yet. All of these things are gradually ticking boxes and making the systems that we're operating in now fit where we are and how we want to live, etc., etc. And everybody's got to do that. It's no good seeing someone do something and on YouTube or anywhere else and then trying to replicate it exactly. You have to fit it to your system, to what works for you. And that's what I love about homesteading, is that everything can fit to any system you like, you know, to any size you like. If you want to, you might not be able to raise pigs. We can't raise pigs here, of course we can't, but we can think about different ways of sourcing an equivalent. I've found somewhere that I can trap rabbits. I butchered my first rabbit in the last couple of weeks. There's solutions out there if you are minded to find them. Really happy with that. I'm gonna have to build a proper base so that it can sit a bit more level. I'm sure I've got some paving slabs lying around. If not, it won't take me long to acquire some at work. I've got to earth up my potatoes today. They're all doing really well. They went in very, very late, but they're first earlies, so they'll be ready in time. We've got tomatoes forming, even on our outside tomato plants now. We're harvesting salads. It won't be very long at all, and we'll be having beans. Our broad beans are almost ready. We've got lots and lots of French beans coming up. Carrots won't be far behind. We're harvesting strawberries, raspberries, blueberries. They're all finding their way into the kitchen. And of course, we're using herbs all the time. So yeah, that's where we are. That's where we are. And I'm really happy to be here. Really happy to be here. Right, guys, thanks for watching. And I'm going to, this afternoon, I'm going to be making muffins, sourdough discard muffins. So that video will be coming out in a few days' time. Stay tuned for that. Please press that like button, leave me a comment down below, subscribe to my channel, do all those good things before you go. That's what your fingers should look like at the weekend. So when you finish watching me, go and get your fingers black. And I'll speak to you really soon. Cheers.